Chosen one, listen closely. If you're watching this right now, it isn't an accident or a coincidence. You were divinely led here. Something massive is about to shift in your life, and when it happens, it will be so supernatural that even you will struggle to believe it. The world thinks miracles are slow, rare, and selective, but what's coming to you is fast, consecutive, and unstoppable. The storm that was meant to break you has positioned you. The delay that frustrated you has built momentum. The loneliness that made you weep has prepared you for rooms others cannot enter. What you feel right now isn't pressure, it's acceleration. You were hidden because you were being refined. You were isolated because you were being chosen. And now, the signal has been sent. It's time. Before we continue, hit like, subscribe, and comment, "I am ready." You, the chosen one, are meant to hear every word of what comes next. A divine reversal is already in motion, and it didn't begin today. It began the moment you refused to quit, when quitting would have been easier. The moment you stayed kind after being disrespected. The moment you held on to faith after being disappointed. The moment you kept going with nothing left except a quiet whisper inside. Don't give up. Heaven has kept the record of every tear, every heartbreak, every rejection, and every silent prayer for a breakthrough that felt like it would never come. Now, the return is on its way. Those who once watched you struggle will soon have no choice but to watch you rise. Not loudly, not dramatically, not publicly begging for attention, but silently, gracefully, and powerfully. The same people who dismissed you will be stunned when you elevate without warning. They will wonder how you did it, who helped you, what your secret is. But the truth is, the reversal isn't man-made, it's God-sent. You're not stepping into success. Success is stepping into you. Closed doors that refused to open before are now unlocking without effort. You won't have to chase, force, beg, or prove. Where you used to hear no, you will now hear, "You're exactly who we've been looking for." The things you used to apply for will begin applying for you. The opportunities you once chased will now pursue you because the timing has finally aligned with your anointing. You were never denied, you were preserved until the right moment. The season of waiting has expired. What you thought you lost was actually being multiplied in silence. You're not receiving back what you had. You're receiving the upgraded version of what you prayed for. The relationships, the resources, the purpose, the clarity, the confidence. None of it is returning in the same form it left. It's returning multiplied because you matured while you waited. You didn't just survive the delay, you grew in it. That growth is the key that unlocks the next chapter. You're stepping into a period where blessings don't come one at a time. They come back to back, layered, stacked, and accelerated. You've been down for so long that a single breakthrough would have been enough to make you emotional. But what's coming is not a single breakthrough. It's a chain reaction. One miracle is going to trigger another, and another, and another, until the weight of struggle that sat on you for years becomes a distant memory. You won't even remember the last time life felt this heavy, because the peace hitting your spirit is about to be stronger than the pain that tried to break it. You're not moving into a lucky moment. You're moving into a divine shift. Not because you did everything perfectly, but because you stayed, because you endured, because you didn't surrender your soul even when the world tried to take it from you. You remained who you were when life tried to twist you into someone bitter, angry, or hopeless. That faith, even the version of it that wavered, cried, and trembled, is what activated this turnaround. everything is about to look unreal. Not because it's too good to be true, but because it's too good not to be God. Strangers are about to speak your name in rooms you've never walked into, and they will defend your value as if they have known you their entire life. People you've never met are going to feel spiritually assigned to support you, recommend you, uplift you, and open doors for you that you could not open on your own. They won't want anything from you. They won't be jealous. They won't be threatened. They will see you and immediately recognize something rare, a light, a calling, a destiny. They will say, "This is the one we need," even though they've never shaken your hand. And the most shocking part, they won't even fully understand why they're doing it. They'll just feel pulled. Heaven placed your name in their spirit before you ever crossed paths in the physical. Every time in your life when you felt like nobody showed up for you was not evidence of abandonment. It was protection from the wrong people helping for the wrong reasons. But now, alignment is replacing isolation. Doors that required begging in the past will now swing open naturally because someone is holding them open from the inside. A person you've never met is going to make a call, mention your name, forward your information, recommend your gift, or reveal your story to someone who has the power to elevate you. Think of it like a relay. You've been carrying the baton alone for a long time, but now the right people are stepping into position to run beside you, not to outrun you, not to slow you down, but to multiply your impact. Connections are coming into your path without you chasing, impressing, or convincing. You won't need to sculpt your story, pretend to be smaller, or fight to prove that you're worth supporting. The right souls know instantly. They don't need to be persuaded because they're not attracted to the image. They're attracted to the spirit. You've spent much of your journey around people who wanted access to your potential but not responsibility for your growth. Now, you're crossing into the season where the people entering your life aren't intimidated by your power. They are energized by it. They celebrate you privately and publicly because helping you rise does not threaten their position. It fulfills their assignment. Provision is about to come from places that don't make logical sense. You're going to receive support from sources that aren't connected to your history, your inner circle, or your environment. It won't look familiar. It won't look predictable. It won't look like the way you expected God to answer you. And because it's so unusual, you'll know it's divine. A bill will be covered unexpectedly. A resource will become available without cost. A job, investment, business idea, collaboration, or opportunity will show up without you chasing it. The need you've been stressing over is already resolved in the spirit. It just hasn't reached the physical timeline yet. That delivery is in transit, and nothing can stop what has already been approved. You're not moving into a season of begging. You're moving into a season of receiving. The you that once fought for attention is now going to be offered the spotlight without asking. The you who once waited for support is now going to feel overwhelmed by how many people want to be connected to your mission, not because you changed who you are, but because the timer on your calling finally hit zero. What once looked like failure now looks like preparation because the right people are arriving in perfect timing. The lonely path you've been walking has reached its expiration date. The reason you couldn't fit into certain crowds, certain groups, certain relationships, certain circles was because God refused to let you settle for people who would eventually betray or drain you. The isolation wasn't rejection. It was insulation. You weren't being left out. You were being preserved. And now that preservation is ending and alignment is beginning, The souls coming into your world now are connected to your purpose, not your past. They're connected to your evolution, not your wounds. They're connected to your destiny, not your history. Expect divine replacements. People who disappeared without explanation will be replaced by people who show up without hesitation. Those who failed to value you will be replaced by those who honor you instantly. The ones who competed with you will be replaced by ones who collaborate with you naturally. The ones who drained you emotionally will be replaced by ones who pour into you without keeping score. You're entering a cycle where everyone in your life contributes, supports, builds, and aligns. Heaven has assigned individuals specifically to lift you. Their gifts complement your gifts. Their access fills the spaces where yours didn't reach. Their presence accelerates what was moving slowly. These are not casual acquaintances. They are destiny carriers. You will not need to monitor them, doubt them, or shrink around them. You'll feel safe without pretending. You'll feel supported without performing. For the first time, you'll feel what it's like to be surrounded, not suffocated. These people have been strategically positioned in the timeline of your future. Some of them have been waiting for you to arrive into your confidence, your next stage of maturity, or your divine appointment. They weren't late, they arrived right when the story needed their role the most. When they appear, you will recognize them instantly, not because of what they say, but because of how your spirit responds. Some connections are understood beyond words, and just like you're being supported, you'll also support others, not from emptiness, but from overflow. The love you gave to the wrong hearts is now returning through the right ones. The loyalty you offered to those who didn't deserve you is now being mirrored by those who do. The respect you once demanded is now being given without effort. Every soul heaven sends toward you has one thing in common. They want to see you win. They want to see you grow. They want to see you thrive. They want to see you become everything you were created to be. Their presence isn't random. It's a divine sign that the season of isolation has closed. The chapter of walking alone is over. You are stepping into the era of supernatural alignment, where every connection, every opportunity, every supporter, every resource, every collaboration, and every moment is intentionally orchestrated for your rise. And the most powerful part? The help you're receiving isn't temporary, it's transformational. These connections don't build a moment, they build a future. Resources are shifting, and whether you feel ready or not, you are standing in the path of a financial realignment that has already begun. Wealth, access, and opportunity are moving away from those who abused power, sabotaged others, and hoarded what was never meant for them. That era is closing. You are stepping into a moment where the flow turns toward the righteous, toward those who give, build, elevate, and create without stealing from others. This isn't about luck, favoritism, or fortune disguised as favor. This is a spiritual correction. Every seed of work, loyalty, sacrifice, and integrity that didn't seem to pay off before is now returning in a form that will shock you. Not only will you be elevated, but the structures that once kept you small will be dismantled in plain sight. What was taken from you, time, energy, opportunities, money, reputation, is not returning in its original amount. It's coming back with interest, because the delay created growth, and the growth increased your capacity to hold more. You never lost anything. You were accruing value. There are blessings with your name on them that were held up because someone else mishandled what should have been entrusted to you. They wasted, they neglected, they misused, and now what slipped out of their hands is being divinely rerouted into yours. You will receive access to things another person forfeited because they weren't equipped to honor it. You're not receiving leftovers. You're receiving destiny assets that are finally in the hands of the one who can multiply them. Opportunities that once seemed impossible to reach will soon become impossible to stop. The environment that ignored your talent will suddenly compete to claim it. Emails, calls, invitations, deals, partnerships, bookings, contracts, and ideas that were once stagnant will gain unstoppable momentum. You're shifting into a period where the walls that kept you out will be replaced by doors that push you forward. Nothing and no one will be able to block what has already been sent to you. Someone who once had the power to say no will no longer have the authority to speak against you. Someone who once tried to limit you will no longer have access to your realm. What once belonged to gatekeepers now belongs to destiny. Generational poverty, whether financial, emotional, educational, or spiritual, reaches its limit with you. You are the interruption. You are the bloodline shift. You are the one that breaks the cycle by living differently, thinking differently, earning differently, and believing differently. Everything that your family line had to survive ends with your generation, because you are moving into a life where survival is no longer the default setting. The internal wiring that made you feel guilty for dreaming big is dissolving. The subconscious belief that abundance is for others and struggle is for you is dissolving. Being overwhelmed by blessings will soon feel more familiar than being overwhelmed by bills. Your standard of living is about to rise permanently. The chosen inherit what others mishandled, not because you took from them, but because they rejected what they didn't respect. The blessings you're stepping into were always meant for someone with your values, your heart, and your discipline. Someone else had position without character. You had character without position. Now the two are merging in your favor. You have been refined into the kind of person who can receive without collapsing, who can succeed without losing your soul, who can rise without becoming arrogant, and who can prosper without abandoning your purpose. You will not need to compete for resources. They will seek you out. You will not need to bend rules or betray yourself to gain what's coming. Authenticity is your currency, and alignment is your strategy. The realm of destiny rewards those who refuse to cheat their way to the top, and your conscience has become your qualification. Everything you need to build the life you are called to build is being placed in your hands. Stability, finances, creativity, energy, wisdom, connections, options, and visibility. You're not being blessed just to live well. You're being blessed so you can break chains for everyone attached to you. Every area that once felt impossible to change, debt, struggle, lack, loss, transition, is now vulnerable to breakthrough. You're entering a life where earning becomes easier because you're aligned with your calling. You're entering a life where abundance feels natural instead of distant. You're entering a life where your legacy becomes bigger than your pain. Money is not becoming your identity. It's becoming a tool for your assignment. Power is not becoming your personality. It's becoming your platform. Influence is not becoming your ego. It's becoming your responsibility. There will come a point soon where you look around and realize you are no longer living the story you were born into. You are living the story you were designed for. The environment of lack that shaped you was only the furnace that proved you could be trusted with abundance. Everything that once made you cry will be replaced by everything that once felt out of reach. You won't just rise, you'll sustain. You won't just achieve, You'll multiply. You won't just receive, you'll transform. The wealth transfer happening in your life is not just about money, it's about positioning. The moment people used to overlook you will be the exact moment others will fight to support you. The world that once tried to contain your progress will become the world that amplifies it. The blessings once withheld from you will become the blessings others witness on you. Every unanswered prayer is becoming a visible testimony. Every invisible effort is becoming a public elevation. And the most defining shift of all is this: you're not stepping into abundance because you need to prove something. You're stepping into it because you've already proven everything. You have passed tests others never saw. You have handled losses others couldn't survive. You have endured seasons others would have collapsed under. The story isn't turning because you asked for more. It's turning because you became more. The transfer has already begun. Nothing can reverse it. Nothing can interfere with it. Nothing can diminish it. False loyalty is about to collapse under its own weight, and people who pretended to care will expose themselves without you lifting a finger. Masks are slipping. Alliances are cracking, and the ones who thought they could hide their intentions will reveal them by their behavior, their silence, their sudden distance, or their accidental confessions. You won't have to confront them, chase them, or demand the truth. Their own actions will testify against them. Someone who once claimed they were on your side will show you exactly why they were never meant to sit at your table. And when it happens, you won't break, you'll breathe, because it will confirm what your spirit already knew. Conversations that were never meant for your ears will find you. Words spoken behind your back will be repeated to you without you digging, watching, or spying. The universe has a way of making gossip take the long way around and land exactly where it wasn't supposed to go. A comment someone made in a moment of jealousy will be relayed to you through the least expected source. The truth that people tried to bury will surface through the people they trusted most. A lie that was supposed to destroy you will fold in on itself because the person who repeated it won't even have the strength to keep the story consistent. Their own tongues will expose their intentions. Every plan that was designed to block you, trap you, embarrass you, or slow you down is about to flip onto the planner. The jealousy, the sabotage, the manipulation, the envy. None of it is coming toward you anymore. It's circling back to the one who released it. They dug a ditch while smiling in your face, not realizing that the ditch would become their own downfall. They tried to make you the joke, but they forgot that destiny has a sense of humor too. They expected to watch you fail. Instead, they will have to watch you flourish. Every time someone used your name in hate, they strengthened your blessings. Every time someone tried to block your path, they confirmed how dangerous your future is. Every time someone pushed against you, they accelerated the force that is now launching you. You will be shown everything you need to know without hunting for proof. This is the season of clarity. People won't be able to pretend anymore. Their energy will betray them even when their words stay sweet. You'll notice the glare behind the smile. You'll recognize the shift in tone. You'll feel the hesitation in the air. Your intuition won't whisper anymore. It will speak loudly, immediately, and unmistakably. You won't doubt yourself like you used to. You won't gaslight your own spirit. You won't convince yourself that they didn't mean it, just to make the discomfort go away. You'll trust the signal the first time, because your discernment has matured through pain. You're no longer begging for loyalty. You're watching who shows it without being asked. You're no longer holding on to people just because of history. You're letting go because of truth. The moment someone reveals they were rooting for your downfall, Your spirit will release them without anger. You don't need revenge. You don't need applause. You don't need an audience to witness the separation. Detachment is your justice. Silence is your resolution. Growth is your closure. And while they obsess over you, your peace will torment them. They expected you to fall apart. They expected their actions to destroy you. They expected you to be broken, humiliated, and desperate. Instead, you will show up glowing. Instead, you will continue healing. Instead, you will rise higher than before. The more they talk, the more you thrive. The more they watch, the less access they have. The more they try to understand how you're still standing, the more it confuses them. Nothing shakes someone who wished for your failure more than watching you step into your power untouched. That's why they're unraveling. They can't reconcile how everything they did worked against you, yet nothing broke you. They can't understand how you kept your softness after betrayal, kept your grace after disrespect, kept your faith after disappointment. They can't process how you became wiser without becoming bitter. They can't comprehend how you grew stronger without seeking revenge. Their confusion is not your problem. Their karma is not your responsibility. Their downfall is not your entertainment. You are too focused on elevation to celebrate destruction. Truth is your shield now. Protecting your spirit doesn't require walls. It requires awareness. The moment someone shows they don't deserve your loyalty, you act accordingly. You don't negotiate your intuition anymore. You don't justify people who continually harm you. Loving someone from a distance is still love, and sometimes it is the highest form of it. Because you're no longer attached to what drains you, you're attached to what aligns with you. Those who remained loyal during your struggle will rise with you in your success. Those who targeted you in silence will crumble under their own intentions. Loyalty, not blood, defines your circle now. Respect, not history, defines who gets access. Energy, not excuses, determines who stays. Your glow is exposing every shadow. Your purpose is exposing every parasite. Your elevation is exposing every pretender. They cannot hide from the light anymore, not because you are looking for deception, but because you are walking in truth. And truth exposes everything. The next time someone exits from your life abruptly, don't grieve. Recognize it as spiritual eviction. The next time someone slips up and tells on themselves, don't be surprised. They were spiritually overdue for exposure. The next time you see a signal that someone doesn't belong in your next chapter, don't hesitate. Your future is too valuable to seat the wrong characters. Your journey forward no longer includes people who are secretly wishing you backward. Your blessings are too big to share with those who prayed you wouldn't receive them. Your heart is too pure to extend to those who celebrated when it broke. Your gifts are too powerful to waste on the ungrateful. You're done holding space for those who plot behind your back while eating at your table. You are entering a timeline where you don't lose people. People lose access to you. You don't chase love. Love meets you where you are. You don't tolerate disrespect. Respect becomes the minimum requirement. And you don't fear exposure. Only the guilty do. Every hidden plot is collapsing. Every false connection is dissolving. Every unfaithful tongue is silencing itself. Your life is becoming too blessed for betrayal to survive in it. Things that normally take years are about to happen in weeks, and the pace of change will feel unreal even to you. Timelines are collapsing. Delays are dissolving. And what once required pushing, forcing, strategizing, and fighting will suddenly unfold with ease. Not because circumstances became easier, but because the season shifted. What you are building in slow motion is about to launch In fast forward, the pace of blessings is increasing because the preparation phase is complete. All the time you spent in silence wasn't wasted. It was building momentum, and that momentum is about to release itself in a flood you are finally ready to receive. The acceleration you're stepping into doesn't operate on logic. One blessing will trigger 5 more automatically, and none of them will make practical sense. When your breakthrough arrives, it won't come alone. A single yes will knock down multiple doors. A single opportunity will expand into multiple opportunities. A single connection will link you to rooms you didn't even know existed. One victory will rearrange your entire future. You will make one move and 5 things will shift at once. You'll celebrate one blessing, and then the next one will hit before you finish catching your breath. You won't have time to question if it's real, because the next miracle will confirm the last one. The areas of your life that have been frozen are all about to unfreeze at the same time. Stagnation isn't breaking piece by piece. It's breaking everywhere at once. The places where nothing moved for years will suddenly speed up in ways that do not match the history of the struggle. A project that stayed stuck will suddenly progress. A dream that seemed distant will become urgent. People who once hesitated will now rush to support. Emails that never came will arrive all at once. The energy that was blocked is now flowing freely. You're not going to be waiting for one part of your life to improve while the rest is still fighting to catch up. Everything is going to rise together, like a tide lifting every ship at the harbor. Heaven is accelerating what you could not push, and the weight that once held you down is no longer strong enough to stop you. All the force you used to apply just to make minimal progress is now being replaced by divine wind behind you, not resistance in front of you. You won't have to demand recognition because it's going to find you. You won't have to chase opportunities because they're already tracking you. You won't have to squeeze yourself into alignment because alignment has finally reached your timeline. It's not that the path suddenly became easier. It's that you're no longer walking alone. You're moving with the same force that once felt distant, the force you prayed for when nothing was happening. The delay didn't deny you. It powered you. Breakthrough is not creeping toward you. It's sprinting, and the speed will catch even you off guard. One day will look like every other day, and then suddenly everything will change. You'll wake up expecting the ordinary and walk right into the extraordinary. An email, a phone call, an approval, a deposit, a collaboration, a miracle, a shift, a meeting, an encounter. One moment will flip the script, and after the flip, the momentum will not stop. This isn't a surge followed by another drought. This is a new normal. This is the baseline for the rest of your story. For a long time, it felt like you were stuck while everyone else moved forward. But that wasn't stagnation. It was insulation. While others were rushing ahead with no foundation, you were being built to last. You weren't behind. You were being calibrated. You weren't slow. You were being strengthened. You weren't forgotten. You were being prepared. And because your roots are deep now, nothing can uproot what's growing. What comes quickly now will last because what took time first was the preparation, not the blessing. Each upgrade will activate another. The opportunity that changes your finances will also improve your living situation. The opportunity that shifts your career will also expand your influence. The connection that elevates your purpose will also improve your confidence. Nothing is happening in isolation. Everything is connected. The breakthrough isn't one-dimensional, it's multi-layered. The blessings coming into your life are synchronized and intentional. You will feel the acceleration physically. You'll have more energy, more ideas, more motivation, more clarity. You'll wake up with direction instead of doubt. The inspiration that once came in fragments will now come in complete downloads, plans, strategies, and timing included. And when you act, things will fall into place without resistance. The right people will answer. The right doors will open. The right moments will align. You won't need to convince anyone of your worth. It will be obvious. Your confidence will return because life is finally reflecting what you've always known deep inside. You were never meant to struggle forever. You were never meant to stay in survival mode. You were never meant to hide your gifts. You were never meant to spend your life pushing uphill. The pressure wasn't punishment. It was proof of potential. And that potential is now undeniable. What used to take everything out of you will soon require almost no effort at all. The road is opening. The speed is increasing. And that speed is your confirmation that you are crossing into the season where destiny stops resisting you and starts accelerating you. You're not chasing breakthroughs anymore. Breakthroughs are chasing you. The world will notice. They'll see the pace of your rise and wonder how it happened so fast. They'll assume you got lucky, not realizing you earned every second of the acceleration through years of faith, pain, discipline, and growth that nobody saw. They'll see the highlight, but not the history. But the justice is that your elevation will speak louder than their opinions. Your timeline is shifting from, "It will happen someday," to, "It's happening right now." The pace of breakthrough is about to become impossible to deny. Attacks against you are now failing before they ever reach you, and the shift will be so undeniable that you won't be able to explain it logically. Someone will try to speak against you, and their own plans will fall apart before the words leave their mouth. Someone will try to create chaos around your name, and confusion will swallow their intentions before it ever touches you. Every attempt to disturb your peace will collapse in the planning stage, not in the aftermath. What once hit you directly will now break before contact. The spiritual hedge around you isn't forming, it's already formed. By the time negativity aims for you, you're already out of reach. There are battles you were protected from that you will never hear about because they were blocked before they could exist in your reality. A person who planned to deceive you changed their mind, and you never knew why. A conversation intended to ruin your reputation fell silent without explanation. A plot to slow you down turned into an opportunity that sped you up instead. You weren't spared in the middle of the fight. You were spared before the fight even launched. Every intrusion that would have stolen your joy, energy, health, or confidence was intercepted before it could take shape. You didn't avoid it by luck. It disappeared before you ever had to confront it. Your spirit has become untouchable to jealousy, envy, and curses, not because negativity stopped existing, but because you're no longer spiritually available for it. Jealous eyes will still watch, but they won't penetrate. Bitter hearts will still talk, but their words won't land. Selfish souls will still attempt to drain you, but their access is blocked by forces far beyond human understanding. The version of you that once absorbed other people's projections has been replaced by a version that reflects them back. Anyone who sends hate toward you will feel the weight of their own intention before it ever crosses your energetic field. You won't need to defend yourself. The energy will do it for you. Every weapon designed to destroy you is becoming the very proof that you were chosen. The moment someone tries to sabotage you, the backlash will elevate you. The moment someone tries to humiliate you, your glow will intensify. The moment someone tries to undermine you, you will be promoted. People who dig holes for you will fall into their own traps while watching you walk untouched on higher ground. You won't stand over them cheering. You'll be too focused on where you're going. The attempt itself becomes the testimony. The attack becomes the advertisement. The insult becomes the spotlight. The pain becomes the platform. Favor is shielding you even when you're unaware. There are meetings where your name is protected by someone who doesn't even know why they feel called to defend you. There are environments where someone senses your purity and blocks negativity for you without you ever hearing about it. There are interactions where a person meant to tear you down suddenly feels discomfort in their spirit and changes course. Those moments are not random. They are evidence of protection in motion. The unseen is working harder for you than the seen ever has. You have entered a timeline where your absence is protected just as much as your presence. Even when you're quiet, you're covered. Even when you're not watching, you're watched over. Even when your guard is down, the guard over your spirit never sleeps. Your protection isn't fragile. It's reinforced. It isn't temporary. It's permanent. It doesn't depend on your strength. It comes from a realm stronger than anything that could ever oppose you. People who once fed on your vulnerability will discover they can't reach you anymore. Someone who used to trigger you will lose their effect. Someone who used to drain you won't have access. Someone who used to manipulate you won't be able to find a single entrance point. You outgrew past traps without even trying. You were transformed to the point that your old weaknesses no longer recognize you. Not because you became hardened, but because you became aligned. Your peace is not fragile. It's fortified. You can walk into rooms that used to make you shrink and now feel completely stable. You can face situations that used to break you and not feel shaken. You can stand near people who once intimidated you and feel completely unbothered. You're not absorbing negativity anymore. You're deflecting it effortlessly. Your spirit has adjusted to a new frequency where only authenticity reaches you and everything else collapses on contact. You are no longer accessible to every voice, energy, agenda, or temptation. That's why people who once controlled you feel powerless now. That's why the connections that relied on your pain can't survive your healing. That's why the relationships that depended on your insecurity are fading. Anyone who benefited from your suffering will lose their influence as you rise. You're not guarded because you're afraid. You're guarded because you're chosen. The power around you is not just blocking harm, it is rerouting blessings. Every time someone tries to strip something from you, you'll gain something better. Every time someone tries to push you backward, you'll be accelerated forward. Every time someone tries to shake your identity, your confidence will grow stronger. This is no longer equal exchange. This is divine compensation. The scale has tipped permanently in your favor. The more you grow, the more protected you become. The more aligned you become, the more untouchable you become. The more you shine, the more watching eyes will fail to dim you. Your success is not fragile, your destiny is not fragile, and your spirit is not fragile. The shield around your life does not operate by chance. It operates by assignment. Anyone who tries to step into your life with ulterior motives will expose themselves instantly. Anyone who tries to imitate you will lose themselves in the process. Anyone who tries to control you will lose access to you. Anyone who tries to block you will find themselves blocked spiritually. Anyone who tries to poison others against you will lose credibility without you saying a word. You are not just protected. You are safeguarded, sealed, and secured. Nothing formed against you can survive in the atmosphere you now carry. Anything that wishes you harm is destined to exhaust itself long before it reaches you. The more you walk in your purpose, the more protection surrounds you. The more you honor your calling, the more the shield strengthens itself. You do not rise alone. You rise guarded. Spiritual dreams are beginning to reveal the next step with a clarity that leaves no room for confusion. You'll wake up remembering details you normally would forget. People you don't speak to anymore will appear in dreams, not by coincidence, but as symbols, showing you who is fading, who is returning, and who no longer belongs. New environments will show up in your sleep before they show up in your reality. Opportunities, directions, and warnings will come through imagery that feels too precise to be random. A dream will deliver an answer you've been searching for, not because you forced understanding, but because this season doesn't require effort to receive guidance. What once felt mysterious now becomes instruction. Repeating numbers, symbols, signs, and confirmations are increasing because the spiritual realm is speaking loudly to ensure you don't miss your moment. You look at the clock and see the same pattern multiple times. A symbol shows up in a song, then in a conversation, then on a billboard. And you know it's not coincidence. You think of something, and hours later, it appears. You ask internally for reassurance, and the reassurance shows up in a way too direct to ignore. The language of the unseen has intensified, not to confuse you, but to mark your path step by step. These signs are not asking for belief. They are announcing alignment. Messages you need are finding you without searching. A video pops up with the exact sentence that answers your doubt. A stranger makes a comment that delivers a hidden confirmation you needed to hear. A book falls open to the only paragraph that speaks directly to your spirit. You overhear a conversation that gives you clarity, even though it wasn't meant for you. The right guidance arrives at the exact second you need it, and not a moment earlier, because timing is part of the protection over your journey. When the message comes, it won't encourage your emotions. It will activate your decisions. Your intuition has become razor sharp, sharper than logic, sharper than memory, sharper than familiarity. You no longer need explanations to trust what you know. Your body reacts before your mind understands. You can sense when someone's motives shift. You can detect when an opportunity is real or when it's bait. You can feel when a room is safe and when it's not, even if everyone looks friendly. The inner voice is no longer faint, it's direct. The hesitation you feel is a warning. The peace you feel is permission. The nudge you feel is direction. The discomfort you feel is protection. Your intuition isn't emotional, it's prophetic. You can feel something huge approaching even without physical evidence, and that feeling is not wishful thinking. It's spiritual foresight. You don't see anything changing yet, but you feel the pressure increasing inside you because the next level is already forming. There's an inner restlessness that doesn't mean something is wrong. It means something is about to happen. You're not anxious, you're awakening. You're not impatient, you're sensing alignment. You don't know the details, but you know the timing is close. The vibration around you has shifted. You can feel it before you can prove it. You're being prepared internally for something externally massive. The pull towards solitude is not isolation, it's calibration. The release of old desires is not emptiness, it's clearing space. The sudden discomfort in certain environments is not oversensitivity, it's growth. Some connections suddenly feel temporary, and you can't explain why. Some locations suddenly feel too small for you, and you can't explain why. Some habits suddenly feel misaligned, even though you loved them before. Nothing is falling apart. Everything is transitioning. You are not imagining the energetic upgrades happening within you. Your sensitivity to energy, tone, intention, and truth is increasing. You no longer second-guess yourself the way you once did. You can tell when someone is masking pain. You can tell when someone wants access, but not connection. You can tell when someone is drawn to your light, but not ready for your depth. You can tell when someone admires you, but secretly envies you. These realizations don't hurt because they're not emotional. They're informational. You're no longer taking people at face value. You're reading them spiritually. Sleepless nights don't mean something is wrong. They mean the spirit world is busy. You wake up between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. Not because of stress, but because messages flow strongest when the world is quiet. You get ideas so powerful, they steal your attention. You get insights that don't match your environment yet, but match your future perfectly. The vision of where you're going is running ahead of the physical proof on purpose, because belief is building the bridge before evidence arrives. You're feeling called to release things you can't argue for anymore, not because they're bad, but because your frequency is outgrowing them. Some people are still comfortable in places you're uncomfortable leaving. Some people still love what you're no longer willing to settle for. Your intuition isn't asking you to abandon anyone. It's asking you to honor what you have outgrown. You can't shrink to fit anymore. You can't pretend not to notice anymore. You can't silence the calling anymore. There's a calm before the breakthrough, and you're standing in it. It's quiet, not because nothing is happening. It's quiet because everything is aligning. The silence is not punishment. It's preparation. The pause is not delay. It's positioning. The stillness is not stagnation. It's strategy. What looks like nothing is actually everything moving towards you at once. You're not waiting for your moment. Your moment is waiting for your readiness. You don't need proof to know what's coming. You don't need validation to trust what you feel. You don't need permission to follow your calling. Every dream, every sign, every number, every message, every intuition, every inner shift is pointing in the same direction. Something life-changing is approaching, and your spirit sensed it before your eyes could see it. This season is not about guessing. It's about recognizing. Not about hoping. About expecting. Not about searching. About receiving. The signals are everywhere because the breakthrough is close enough to touch. And the closer it gets, the louder the spiritual guidance becomes. You stop shrinking to fit the comfort of people who are only compatible with a limited version of you. Without forcing it, without announcing it, without planning it, you just rise. Rooms that once intimidated you now feel too small. Conversations that once convinced you to dim your light now feel unworthy of your time. You no longer wait for approval to be yourself, and you no longer negotiate your identity to belong. You used to make yourself smaller to avoid being judged. Now, you refuse to apologize for existing. You're not trying to stand out. You simply stopped holding yourself back. And the moment you stopped shrinking, your presence expanded effortlessly. Your voice becomes stronger, even when you're not speaking. Your confidence now communicates before you say a word. Your energy walks into a room minutes before your body arrives. Your silence has weight because it comes from knowing, not guessing. People can feel when you're no longer seeking validation. They can feel when you're no longer afraid of being misunderstood. They can feel that your peace is rooted, not performative. You don't need to raise your volume to prove your value. You carry the kind of authority that requires no explanation. Your yes has power, and your no has boundaries, and both are equally respected by the right people. True power awakened the moment you stopped doubting your calling. There was always greatness inside you, but it was wrapped in hesitation. You questioned your purpose because you were surrounded by people who didn't recognize it. You thought you lacked clarity, but the truth is, you lacked alignment. You weren't unprepared. You were waiting for courage. And when you stopped asking for permission to step into your destiny, the power didn't gradually appear. It erupted. Your mind unlocked ideas that feel too big to fail. Your spirit tapped into a determination that fear cannot negotiate with. You are now driven by the calling, not the criticism. You're not motivated by applause. You're guided by assignment. People will say, "You've changed," and they will mean it as an accusation because your evolution exposes their stagnation. The version of you that tolerated nonsense is gone. The version of you that over-explained is gone. The version of you that ignored intuition is gone. The version of you that waited to be chosen is gone. You didn't become cold. You became clear. Growth didn't make you distant. It made you different. You can still love people without limiting yourself for them. You can still care without carrying everyone's weight. Your transformation is not personal attack. It is personal liberation. If someone resents your growth, it's because they benefited from your smallness. You finally recognize exactly who you are. An identity becomes your armor. You are no longer defined by mistakes you've healed from. You are no longer anchored to labels others placed on you. You no longer search for external validation because you've met your inner truth. You're beginning to understand why life set you apart, why you felt different, why your path wasn't like everyone else's. You were never meant to blend in, you were meant to become. Every challenge sharpened your wisdom. Every betrayal strengthened your discernment. Every delay shaped your patience. Every disappointment redirected your path. You were being formed, not forgotten. Now you walk with intention because you finally know your value. You don't chase what is beneath you. You don't beg for access you've outgrown. You don't cling to people who cannot join your next level. You understand that not everyone is meant to stay, and not every connection is meant to continue. You don't fight to prove your worth. You allow your worth to decide what stays. A powerful shift happens the moment you realize your identity is not negotiable. Your posture is changing. You no longer avoid opportunities because you fear failure. You feel called to take up space. You no longer silence ideas because they sound too bold. You understand that boldness is the language of destiny. You no longer pretend to be confused about what you feel. You have become spiritually fluent in your own soul. People will notice the glow, the peace, the confidence, the depth, and they won't be able to articulate what changed. But you'll know. You met yourself. You've stopped looking outward for what was always inside. You don't need constant reassurance anymore because you trust your inner authority. You don't worry about who doesn't believe in you because belief in yourself has become non-negotiable. You don't fear being left behind because you know you are called forward. You no longer ask, "Am I enough?" because you've realized you were chosen long before anyone else recognized your worth. Your energy has become undeniable. People will stare without knowing why. Some will be inspired, some will be intimidated, some will be confused, but all will feel the shift. Not because you're trying to impress, but because authenticity has a frequency that cannot be ignored. Your identity is louder than your voice, and your alignment is louder than your words. You're no longer trying to find your lane. You're realizing you are the lane. What others do cannot replace you. What others copy cannot surpass you. What others imitate cannot diminish you. Your uniqueness is your assignment, and no one can fulfill it except you. You stop battling for relevance, because relevance is built into your existence. You cannot be overlooked in a story that was written with you at the center. Your boundaries are no longer rooted in fear. They're rooted in self-respect. You're not guarded because you're damaged. You're selective because you're divine. Not everyone deserves access to the new you, because not everyone helped build the new you. You were reborn through lessons that not everyone witnessed, so not everyone should benefit from the upgrade. You're not done growing, but you're done forgetting who you are. You're not done evolving, but you're done apologizing for it. You're not done transforming, but you're done dimming the process for people who prefer the older version of you. You've stepped into identity, and identity is power. Not the power to dominate others, but the power to become unshakable within yourself. Your life now reflects your knowing. Your choices reflect your value. Your energy reflects your purpose. Your presence reflects your identity. You don't just exist, you embody. You don't just believe, you become. You don't just hope, you align. The world is not meeting a new you. It's finally meeting the real you. Emotional wounds that once felt impossible to close are healing effortlessly, as if the pain is losing its permission to stay. Memories that used to sting now pass through you without reopening anything. Events that once stole your peace no longer have power over your mood. You don't have to force forgiveness. It unfolds on its own. You don't have to chase closure. Closure comes through understanding rather than explanation. You're no longer trapped in the moment where you were hurt. You finally stepped into the moment where you healed. The scars are still there, but they don't bleed anymore. The weight of past heartbreak, disappointments, and betrayals has been lifted layer by layer, and for the first time in a long time, your heart feels safe inside your body. Mental clarity returns like a flood, not little by little, but all at once. Thoughts that used to feel tangled are becoming organized. Decisions that used to terrify you now feel obvious. The fog that made everything confusing is gone, replaced by focus, direction, and certainty. You can identify what drains you and what fuels you without hesitation. The mental loops that once replayed old pain have been removed. Your mind is now available for vision, creativity, and strategy. You're starting to dream again, not the type of dreams that escape reality, but dreams that build it. The noise inside your mind has quieted, so your inner voice can finally be heard, and it's speaking with strength, wisdom, and confidence. Physical energy is returning without explanation. You wake up earlier without forcing it. You have motivation without caffeine, drive without pressure, enthusiasm without hyping yourself up. Tasks that used to feel heavy now feel manageable. Responsibilities that once overwhelmed you now feel aligned. Your body feels lighter, not because it changed externally, but because it's no longer carrying emotional exhaustion. Your nervous system is repairing itself from years of survival mode. Sleep feels deeper. Breathing feels easier. Stillness feels safe. Your body is responding to your spirit's liberation. When the soul heals, the body reacts. The weight on your chest lifts and anxiety breaks, not because your circumstances suddenly became perfect, but because you are no longer imprisoned by them. You're no longer waiting for control to feel calm. Peace is coming from within, instead of from the outside world. You're not obsessing over what could go wrong. You're focusing on what's moving right. You don't rehearse tragedies in your mind anymore. You're preparing for blessings. The tension that used to sit in your shoulders, your jaw, your stomach begins to melt. The constant alertness that kept you braced for pain has been replaced by an inner knowing that things are finally shifting in your favor. Where fear once lived, faith now stands. You feel alive again, not just functioning, not just coping, not just making it through the day, but rising. Your emotional baseline is no longer survival. You're not just trying to get by, you're ready to build. You're not waiting for life to settle down. You're stepping into life with stability already built within you. You laugh more, not because everything is perfect, but because you know you're protected. You hope more, not because you're naive, but because you know you're aligned. You love again, not recklessly, but with discernment. Life doesn't feel heavy anymore. It feels meaningful. You're not carrying people the way you once did, and that's part of the healing. You stopped overgiving. You stopped rescuing. You stopped sacrificing yourself just to keep others comfortable. Your heart didn't harden. It became healthy. You now give from overflow, not from depletion. You have energy for people who match your loyalty instead of draining it. You feel renewed because you finally stopped bleeding yourself dry for relationships that never poured back. Your motivation is returning not from desperation, but from restoration. The fire inside you is not frantic, it's steady. You no longer need chaos to feel purposeful, nor pressure to feel productive. You're driven because you're aligned, not because you're afraid of falling behind. Your ambition doesn't feel exhausting anymore. It feels natural. You don't force progress. You flow into it. Healing didn't erase your story. It gave you authority over it. The things that once broke you are now helping shape your wisdom. The moments that once humiliated you are now building your compassion. The losses that once crushed you are now constructing your strength. The disappointments that once silenced you are now sharpening your discernment. You're not healed because nothing ever hurt you. You're healed because nothing can stop you anymore. The inner child inside you feels safe for the first time in years. The version of you that once begged to be chosen now realizes they were chosen all along. The version of you that once cried silently now sleeps peacefully. The version of you that once felt abandoned now feels supported, even without constant company. Your healing is not loud, it's steady, not dramatic, consistent, not temporary, sustainable. You are reclaiming parts of yourself you forgot existed. Your playfulness is coming back. Your curiosity is resurfacing. Your sense of humor is returning. The part of you that used to dream, imagine, and believe is opening its eyes again. You're stepping back into life with the wisdom of everything you survived and the innocence of someone who finally feels safe to hope. Nothing in you is the same as before. Not your pace, not your peace, not your priorities. You're recognizing your limits without shame. You're protecting your energy without guilt. You're honoring your needs without apology. Healing didn't make you selfish. It made you whole. Because of that wholeness, you walk through life differently now. You're not afraid of being alone because you no longer abandon yourself. You're not afraid of being misunderstood because you no longer misunderstand your worth. You're not afraid of losing people because you no longer lose yourself to keep them. You can feel your strength returning, but this time, it's not the strength that comes from surviving. It's the strength that comes from thriving. Not the strength that comes from holding everything together, but the strength that comes from knowing you don't have to carry everything alone. Your foundation is no longer fear. It is identity, alignment, and peace. You don't just feel healed, you feel renewed. You don't just feel restored, you feel prepared. You don't just feel ready, you feel chosen. And the world is about to see the version of you that your pain tried to bury, but your destiny refused to let go. Random laughter and peace begin hitting you out of nowhere, and you don't need a reason to feel good anymore. You'll be in the middle of washing dishes, or driving, or sitting quietly alone, and a wave of joy will rise in your chest so suddenly that it almost feels unreal. Not childish excitement, not surface-level hype, a deep, grounded joy that says, something good is happening, even if I can't see it yet. You're no longer waiting for the outer world to change before you allow yourself to feel happiness. Peace shows up without scheduling itself. Joy shows up without warning. Your spirit isn't responding to circumstances. Circumstances are about to respond to your spirit. You wake up with hope instead of heaviness, and that shift radiates through your whole day. The mornings where you used to open your eyes and instantly feel weighed down are gone. You no longer dread the unknown. You're excited for it. You no longer wake up replaying yesterday's pain. You wake up imagining tomorrow's possibilities. That heaviness that used to sit on your chest before your feet even touched the ground has faded. Your mornings feel lighter, brighter, calmer. Without trying, you're walking into each day expecting good things, and that expectation is attracting them. Your spirit has become too strong to be shaken by what once broke you. The opinions of others don't disturb your inner world anymore. Temporary disappointments don't derail your stability. Unexpected challenges don't make you question your worth or your path. Even when things don't go perfectly, something inside you refuses to collapse. You don't panic the way you once did. You don't spiral the way you once did. You're not controlled by fear or shame or pressure anymore. There's a resilience in you now, not the kind that comes from enduring pain, but the kind that comes from knowing you're no longer ruled by it. Happiness no longer depends on people or situations, and that is one of the clearest signs of transformation. You no longer hand the keys of your emotional peace to external sources. You don't need constant reassurance to feel secure. You don't need constant attention to feel valued. You don't need perfect days to feel grateful. You enjoy people without depending on them to fill your emptiness. You can still love deeply without losing yourself. You can still care without collapsing your boundaries. Your joy is no longer fragile because it's not borrowed. It's owned. You're no longer chasing temporary highs or unhealthy comfort. You no longer need validation to feel worthy or distraction to feel alive. You don't hide behind busyness anymore. Stillness is safe now. You don't cling to chaos anymore. Peace is home now. You've learned that genuine happiness is not loud or dramatic. It's steady, calm, and deeply rooted. It doesn't need to convince anyone. It simply exists. Your soul remembers what it came here to do, and that remembrance brings a level of joy that circumstances cannot touch. You're reconnecting with purpose, not through pressure, but through identity. You don't feel lost anymore. You don't feel disconnected from life. The passion inside you is waking back up. The curiosity you once buried is resurfacing. The sense of destiny you tried to ignore is now undeniable. It's not about chasing random goals. It's about aligning with what your soul always knew you were meant for. The moments that used to discourage you now inspire you. The setbacks that once made you question everything now sharpen your direction. You're no longer reading life as punishment. You're reading it as preparation. Even when something inconvenient happens, your inner dialogue has changed. Instead of "why me?" you find yourself thinking, "this is leading somewhere." That shift is not accidental, it's spiritual. Joy no longer feels unfamiliar. Peace no longer feels temporary. Good days no longer feel like rare luck. Your nervous system is adjusting to something it wasn't used to. Safety. Your heart is learning something it hadn't experienced consistently. Security. Your energy is rising from a source that can't be taken away. Purpose. People around you will notice that glow. They'll ask if something special happened recently, but they'll sense that your joy isn't coming from a single event. You're not happy because something changed. You're happy because you changed. You are no longer emotionally dependent on outcomes. You are no longer spiritually dependent on circumstances. You are no longer mentally dependent on external reinforcement. You are rooted, and because joy has become natural for you, you no longer fear losing it. You're not waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're not expecting disaster because you're finally doing well. You're not rehearsing pain because you're afraid of being blindsided again. You trust your happiness now. You welcome it instead of bracing against it. You allow good things without sabotaging them. Your self-talk has shifted. Where you once criticized yourself, you now encourage yourself. Where you once doubted your abilities, you now recognize them. Where you once questioned why you were different, you now understand it was intention, not accident. Your inner narration has become kind, supportive, empowering, and that inner environment is why joy stays. You've stopped fighting life and started flowing with it. You're accepting blessings instead of arguing with them. You're embracing new beginnings instead of mourning endings forever. You're following alignment instead of forcing what doesn't fit. You're moving with faith instead of fear. All of these shifts are evidence that your joy is not random. It is the byproduct of deep spiritual alignment. And now that joy has become your baseline, you're attracting people and opportunities that match your energy. You're magnetizing connections that are authentic. You're inviting relationships that support your peace. You're drawing opportunities that match your identity instead of your insecurity. You're creating a life that feels good internally, not just impressive externally. Nothing outside you will ever have the power it once did, because everything strong is now coming from within you. Joy is no longer a visitor, it's a resident. Peace is no longer a moment, it's a lifestyle. Hope is no longer fragile, it's foundational. You're not done rising, you've only begun. And the joy you feel is confirmation that your soul knows exactly what comes next. People who once ignored you now seek your presence, not because you changed to impress them, but because your growth exposed what they failed to recognize. The same individuals who overlooked you when you were quiet, humble, and unseen are now trying to return because they finally realize you were valuable the entire time. They weren't blind to your worth. They were comfortable with your silence. Now that you're walking in alignment, something about you commands attention without requesting it. People who once treated you as an option suddenly want to prioritize you. People who once dismissed your ideas now try to mirror them. They don't realize it, but the shift is simple. You no longer need them, and that is what draws them. Authority is heard in your voice without you trying. You speak calmly, but with a power that demands respect. You don't beg to be understood. You don't fight to be believed. You don't explain to be accepted. When you speak from truth rather than insecurity, your words land differently. People take you seriously even when you're soft-spoken. People listen when you say very little. You don't need to defend your position. Your energy already proves it. You're not arguing to convince anyone who you are anymore. You're speaking to confirm it. Those who used to talk over you now fall quiet around you. Those who used to challenge everything you said now hesitate, not out of fear, but because they feel your strength. Influence is arriving before the spotlight. Opportunities, connections, ideas, and doors are coming your way even before you're publicly visible. People are talking about you in rooms you haven't stepped into yet. People you've never met are recommending you. Your name is being mentioned in conversations that align with your purpose. Someone is planning to contact you because something about you stood out. Someone is watching your journey because they sense your momentum. Someone is preparing to collaborate with you because they feel called to your energy. Recognition begins spiritually, long before it becomes visible physically. You're being positioned before you're being announced. This is the type of influence that cannot be forced. It's chosen. Your value is becoming impossible to overlook. You're no longer hidden in the background. Your talent, your wisdom, your heart, your character, your ideas, they're shining without effort. People who tried to downplay you can't silence the impact. People who tried to label you can't reduce your identity. People who tried to compete with you can't keep up with your purpose. Your worth was never missing. It was just waiting for the right time to be revealed. You're not becoming valuable. People are finally seeing the value that was always there. Your presence upgrades environments. Your insight elevates conversations. Your energy influences the atmosphere. You don't force relevance. Relevance surrounds you. Even your silence speaks louder than their noise. You no longer react to provocation. You no longer defend yourself against misinterpretation. You no longer run after closure from people who can't give it. You let your actions speak. You let your peace speak. You let your progress speak. The less you respond, the louder your results become. People who once tried to belittle you now silently observe because they're witnessing what they underestimated. Those who questioned your potential now avoid eye contact because your growth proves them wrong without you having to say a single word. You're not chasing applause. Applause is being drawn to you. You're not forcing attention. Attention is turning naturally. You don't need praise to feel confident, but praise is coming because confidence radiates from you now. You don't need validation to know your role, but validation finds you because your purpose is undeniable. You're not searching for recognition. Recognition is catching up to who you've become. There's a shift in how people respond to you now. Strangers greet you with respect without knowing why. Supporters show up unexpectedly. People genuinely admire your strength without jealousy. Others feel moved by your authenticity, not your perfection. You're touching lives without trying to impress anyone. You're inspiring without performing. Influence is no longer an effort, it's a frequency. And those who once competed with you will quietly surrender the comparison, because what you carry cannot be copied. Someone may try to imitate your style, but they cannot imitate your spirit. Someone may try to duplicate your ideas, but they cannot duplicate your essence. Someone may try to move like you, but they cannot move with the purpose that drives you. The world is full of echoes, but you are a voice. A lot of people who underestimated you will never apologize for it, but they will show it in their behavior. They will suddenly become gentle. They will suddenly start supporting you. They will suddenly compliment you. They will suddenly treat you with care, not because they've changed, but because you have. Your presence now demands the respect they once withheld. Recognition isn't only coming from the outside, it's happening inside you first. You're recognizing your own impact. You're recognizing your own gifts. You're recognizing your own intelligence. You're recognizing your own spiritual authority. You're not waiting for someone to pronounce your worth anymore. You already know it. And once you recognize yourself, the world has no choice but to follow. People will be drawn to you because your energy communicates what words never could. You know who you are. You know what you carry. You know what you're called to. And you don't need to prove it. You simply live it. This season is not about popularity. It's about alignment. Not about attention, but about purpose. Not about validation, but about visibility at the right time, in the right rooms, to the right people. Your character carried you before anyone noticed you. Now your identity is placing you where your character prepared you to stand. There's no forcing, no pretending, no performing, just becoming. Your time of being unseen wasn't punishment, it was preparation. And now the world is finally catching up to what heaven has already known about you. Everything finally makes sense. Every pain had purpose. The moments that felt like abandonment were actually protection. The disappointments that shattered you were redirecting you. The people who left were never meant to walk into the life you were being shaped for. The situations that exposed your vulnerabilities were the same ones that refined your wisdom. All the chaos that once felt random now reveals itself as strategy. You weren't being punished, you were being positioned. Every tear watered the ground you're about to harvest from. Every setback trained you for the blessing you're about to sustain. This is the season where nothing from your past feels wasted anymore. The dots connect. The pain makes sense. The growth is undeniable. You can look back without bitterness because you see the architecture of destiny in every heartbreak, every rejection, every delay. Your transformation becomes visible to everyone. The glow can't be hidden. The confidence can't be misunderstood. The peace isn't fake, it's earned. The strength isn't loud, it's mastered. People who knew the version of you that struggled will watch the version of you that overcame. They won't understand how you kept going after everything life threw at you, but they will have no choice except to acknowledge that you made it. Your resilience is no longer invisible. Your evolution is undeniable. They will see someone who refused to surrender to darkness, someone who didn't bow to fear, someone who rose from what was meant to destroy them. You're not rising because of luck. You're rising because you endured the fire without losing your essence. You are living proof that transformation is real, that healing is possible, and that chosen people cannot stay buried forever. The chapter that broke you becomes the chapter that built you. It wasn't the easy seasons that shaped your power. It was the nights you cried yourself to sleep and still woke up. It was the loneliness that forced you to learn how to depend on God instead of people. It was the betrayal that strengthened your intuition. It was the rejection that awakened your self-worth. The breaking was necessary because it revealed what was weak, false, and temporary, so that the unshakable parts of you could rise. That chapter didn't ruin you. It resurrected you. You came out wiser, sharper, more aware, more spiritually anchored. You don't fear loss anymore because you survived the kind of loss that once would have killed you. You're not scared of endings because you discovered they are disguised beginnings. You're not afraid of letting go because you've learned that anything meant for you cannot be lost. You're built differently now, not just mentally, but spiritually. Your story inspires those who once doubted you. The people who didn't believe in you will now tell others about you. Those who spoke lightly of your dreams will now use your name as proof of what faith can do. Those who laughed during your struggle will whisper with disbelief when they see your victory. They won't be able to hide their shock when life elevates the one they underestimated. And your life will silently preach a message louder than any words could. Miracles happen to the ones who refuse to quit. People watching you from a distance will start fighting their battles differently because they saw you win yours. They'll start believing in their assignment because you stood firm in yours. You won't have to teach them. Your transformation will. Your comeback will change hearts more than arguments ever could. Your glow will make others want to heal. Your rise will give people hope who have nothing left but pain. The miracles were delayed because you were being prepared. You weren't waiting for blessings. Blessings were waiting for you to grow into the version of yourself that could carry them without collapsing. Destiny wasn't late. Maturity was in progress. You were being trained to handle abundance, not just survive struggle. You were being shaped to walk in purpose, not just react to life. What you prayed for needed you to be stable, grounded, wise, and spiritually aware, not desperate, wounded, or easily manipulated. The miracles didn't skip you. They waited for you. You needed the strength to protect the blessing, the clarity to recognize the blessing, the discernment to keep the blessing, and the self-love to not sabotage the blessing. Now the version of you that stands today is ready. The process wasn't punishment. It was preparation. This unveiling is not loud, but it's undeniable. Your name is rising. Your energy is shifting. Your blessings are multiplying. Your purpose is accelerating. Your identity is solid. Your confidence is real. Your intuition is razor sharp. Your spirit is rested, protected, and empowered. You're not forcing anything. Life is flowing to you. You're not proving anything. Your presence speaks for you. You're not begging for love. Love aligns with you. You're not chasing opportunity. Opportunity recognizes you. Everything happening now is a match to who you've become. And the most stunning part of this unveiling is simple. You are no longer trying to be chosen by people. You have finally accepted that you are chosen by destiny. You don't crave the old life because it cannot compare to the one that's unfolding. You don't look for the old circle because it cannot access the level you're stepping into. You don't mourn the old version of yourself because that version walked you to this moment and fulfilled its assignment. The unveiling is here, not because you fought harder than others, but because you surrendered to the process that others ran from. Many experience pain. Few allow pain to evolve them. You did. That's why your reward looks different. That's why your life is shifting before your eyes. That's why people who once pitied you will admire you. That's why the hand of God is obvious upon you now. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. Nothing was for nothing. You were becoming this, even when you didn't know it. And now, the world is about to witness what heaven has always seen in you.